Okay, let's start with a big question. What if everything we perceive, I mean everything, the forces, the particles, space-time, even, our own consciousness, what if it isn't really what we think it is? What if there's something else? An invisible, intangible layer underneath it all. Sort of, orchestrating reality. It's a pretty mind-bending thought, right? Today, on the deep dive, we are jumping right into a theory that tries to answer exactly that. We're talking about the unified coherence theory of everything, UCTE for short. Now, it does have a much longer name, the hypersymmetry, hyperspinor, hyperchirality, coherence, resonance theory of everything, or HHHCR. A bit of mouthful, yeah? Just with it. UCTE is definitely easier to handle in conversation. Agreed. And our guide for this exploration is Philip Randolph Lilien's really compelling 2025 work, Unifying the Intangible and Tangible. That's our source material today. So our mission here is pretty straightforward. We're going to unpack this theory, get into its core ideas, which really do redefine reality, and then, this is the really exciting part, we'll dive into the, well, frankly, astonishing technologies it suggests are possible. We want to connect the abstract ideas to things we can actually observe, measure, maybe even test. Really get into all the fascinating details, understand the what, the how, and importantly, what it all means.
And what's really striking about Lillian's work, I think, is that it's not just another attempt at a grand unified theory in the physics sense. It's actually proposing a whole new ontology, a framework for existence itself. It argues that the universe isn't just some random chaotic process winding down. Lillian calls it a coherent, resonance-driven emergence cascade.
A cascade. I like that.
Yeah, it implies that everything, from potential to actual stuff, isn't just chance. It's an organized unfolding, governed by some kind of deep inherent order, a universal rhythm.
Okay, let's start with the absolute foundation then, this coherence field. You called it the foundational, intangible substrate. That sounds huge and maybe a bit paradoxical. How can something be foundational and intangible?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's right at the heart of the theory. The coherence field is, well, it's described as that foundational, intangible substrate. It's less a thing and more the source. Pure potential. It supposedly contains infinite vibrational potentials. And it's from these potentials that matter. Forces, space-time, everything emerges. It's the cosmic wellspring.
And where is this wellspring supposed to be?
In hyperspace, a realm Lillian describes as beyond the observable universe. So it transcends our normal dimensions, our usual understanding of space and time. But crucially, it's not just a concept. It's seen as the primary agent for all manifestation, the spark. The pre-manifest foundation, like the universe's underlying operating system, maybe. Always running.
An operating system in hyperspace, humming with potential. Okay. But that word intangible still trips me up. If we can't touch it, measure it, see it, how does it actually do anything? How can it be the foundation if it's fundamentally unreachable?
Right, and that's the key bridge the theory tries to build. You can't measure the coherence field directly, not with current tools anyway, but its effects. Those are supposed to be observable. Think about things like the precise mass of an electron, or the strength of the electromagnetic force, or even just the way space-time curves around a planet. UCTE says these are all tangible manifestations of the intangible field.
Okay, so it's like seeing ripples on a pond tells you something invisible, like wind is blowing.
Exactly like that. Or maybe like deep ocean currents. You can't see them from your boat on the surface, right? But you absolutely see and feel their effects. The waves, the weather patterns, maybe even where the fish are swimming. The currents are the intangible driver, the weather is the tangible effect. The coherence field, similarly, leaves its fingerprints everywhere, even if the hand itself remains unseen.
That makes sense. So even if it's hidden, its influence should be detectable if we look closely enough at the weather patterns of the universe. Does this lead to actual testable predictions then, even indirect ones?
Yes, absolutely. That's crucial for it to be considered scientific. The theory suggests several avenues for indirect testing. For example, gravitational waves.
Ripples in space-time, yeah.
Right. UCTE predicts we might find unique coherence-modified signatures in those ways. Little deviations, specific patterns that wouldn't be there if space-time was just, the standard Einsteinian fabric. It might hint the coherence field is shaping it.
Interesting. What else?
Particle masses. The theory posits mass isn't fundamental, but an emergent effect of vibrations resonating within something called hypergravity, which itself comes from the coherence field.
Hypergravity. We'll need to unpack that later.
We will. But the point is, if we measure particle masses with extreme precision and find tiny anomalies or weird interactions, That could be a sign of the coherence field at work,
And on a bigger scale.
cosmic expansion. If the fundamental constants and laws aren't actually constant but emerge dynamically from this field, as the theory suggests,
Wait, constants aren't constant? That's huge.
it is. We'll get back to that too. But if they're dynamic, then maybe the rate the universe expands isn't perfectly smooth or predictable in the standard way. Measuring tiny deviations in that expansion rate could be a large-scale echo of the coherence field's influence.
Okay, this is fascinating. So the field influences things indirectly. But how does it actually create reality? How does potential become tangible? Let's get into the mechanics, the vibrational dynamics, and resonance emergence.
Right, the creative process itself. UCTE views creation as the process of extending intangible vibrational states into tangible manifestations. It's quite elegant, really.
Yeah.
Inside that coherence field, you have this almost infinite spectrum of vibrations, like notes on a cosmic piano. And the specific patterns, specific chords or harmonies of these vibrations are the source of everything.
Everything. Forces, particles.
And all fundamental forces, all known particles, and even space-time itself. They all originate from specific vibrational modes within the field. It paints a picture of a universe that's fundamentally resonant, alive with vibrations.
A cosmic symphony, I like that. But who's the conductor? What keeps everything in tune and stable, not just a chaotic mess of vibrations? The theory mentions harmonic resonance.
Yes, harmonic resonance is absolutely key. It's described as a universal principle ensuring synchronization of vibrational dynamics across all scales. Think of it as the universe's built-in tuning mechanism. From the tiniest quantum flicker in the coherence field to the rotation of galaxies, harmonic resonance ensures coherence. It links the abstract field to the concrete reality we see.
So it stops it being just noise, basically.
Exactly. It ensures these vibrations align, lock together, and form stable structures. Without it, you'd have cacophony, not the organized cosmos we observe. It keeps the symphony playing in harmony.
Okay, so if specific vibrations correspond to measurable things like an electron's mass or an electromagnetic field, how do we actually go about looking for this? What are the observables?
The theory suggests several ways. Firstly, existing phenomena we already measure. Electromagnetic fields, for instance, are seen as direct manifestations of specific vibrational modes. Particle mass, as I mentioned, is considered a measurable effect of vibrational resonance interacting through hypergravity.
And how do we probe this?
We can use our current tools. Particle colliders, for example. Smashing particles together lets us study their properties, their masses, how they decay, the symmetries involved. UCTE suggests the results of these experiments. The specific energy levels, the patterns hold the fingerprints of these underlying vibrations.
So looking for patterns that maybe don't quite fit the standard model?
Precisely. Or looking at the big picture, the cosmic microwave background radiation, the CMB. That's the echo of the early universe. Analyzing its patterns in minute detail might reveal large-scale effects of these foundational vibrations and harmonic resonance.
And future tech.
A theory definitely anticipates that. Perhaps new kinds of sensors or quantum measurement techniques that could maybe interact more directly with the coherence field itself. That would be the ultimate test, of course.
It sounds less like a single creation event and more like an ongoing process, unfolding in stages. Let's talk about these hyperfractal layers of reality. What does that mean? Reality unfolding in stages.
Yeah, it's a departure from the idea of a fixed universe, born in a single instant with all its laws set. UCTE describes reality as a multi-stage unfolding. Dimensionality, physical laws, even the constants themselves, they aren't fixed from the start. They arise dynamically through resonance-driven cascades.
Cascades, like waterfalls.
Sort of, but think fractally. Each stage builds on the resonance patterns of the previous one, creating increasing complexity. It's like reality is constantly generating itself, layer by intricate layer, dynamically shaping its own rules as it goes.
A self-generating tapestry. Okay, walk us through these stages. How does it go from basic vibrations to, well, us?
Okay, stage one is the initial vibrational emergence. This happens within the coherence field itself. Primal particles and the most fundamental forces pop into existence, but not randomly. They're triggered by specific points, resonance loci, and coherence nodal sparks. Think of them as nucleation points, little hot spots of intense potential in the field where tangible reality starts to condense.
Like seeds for reality.
That's a good way to think of it. Then stage two, these primal elements, guided by that harmonic resonance principle, start to coalesce. They form more complex structures like atoms. More familiar forces like electromagnetism emerge. And crucially, the very fabric of space-time as we know it with its dimensions takes shape.
And stage three.
Stage 3 is where things get really complex. This leads to sophisticated biological systems life, and ultimately, consciousness. All of these stages, from the quantum sparks to conscious thought, are structured by the harmonic resonance principles originating in the coherence field. It's a continuous flow from potential to complexity.
Each stage should leave its own signature then, right? How can we actually see or measure the results of this unfolding at each level?
That's the beauty. The evidence should be woven into different scientific fields. For stage 1, the primal stuff, particle physics is key. Collider experiments measuring particle masses, decay symmetries, these probe that initial emergence. Are there patterns suggesting they came from specific resonance loci?
And stage 2, space-time forming.
Gravitational waves are a prime candidate there. Could the signals we detect, especially from violent events like black hole mergers, show subtle features reflecting space-time itself dynamically emerging or shifting through these hyperfractal layers? It's about looking for unexpected textures in the waves.
Makes sense. And stage 3, life and consciousness.
There, we look at biology and neuroscience, observing the incredible complexity and self-organization in living systems. Biological rhythms, heartbeats, brain waves, circadian cycles, are these just random? Or do they show deep patterns of coherence reflecting the underlying harmonic principles? Studying synchronized neuron firing or coherence in cellular processes that could reveal the fractal nature of this emergence right up to the level of life.
Okay, let's circle back to that crucial transition point. From intangible potential to tangible reality. You mentioned symmetry-breaking dynamics. This sounds like where the universe makes its choices. Explain this shift from hypersymmetry to broken symmetry.
It's absolutely pivotal. Hypersymmetry represents the state within the coherence field before anything tangible exists. It's a state of perfect balance, infinite potential, but no differentiation. Like a perfectly smooth, featureless surface where all possibilities exist but none are actualized.
Pure potential.
Exactly. The transition to broken symmetry is what allows distinct things, particles, forces, structures to emerge. It's like introducing a disturbance on that smooth surface, causing specific patterns or waves to form. This breaking is why an electron is different from a quark, why gravity is different from light. Without it, everything remains unified and unmanifested. Our universe simply wouldn't exist in the form we know. It's the act of choosing specific forms out of infinite potential.
What drives that choosing? What breaks the symmetry? The theory mentions hyperspinors and hyperchirality. They sound complex. Can you simplify them?
They do sound a bit technical, but let's try an analogy. Think of hyperspinors as the universe's ultimate library of blueprints. They are high-dimensional quantum potential carrying coherent states prior to symmetry breaking. They hold all the information, all the possibilities, in a perfectly coherent, unmanifested state. They're the raw code.
The library of what could be.
Precisely. Now, hyperchirality is like the master architect or sculptor. It's the symmetry reduction mechanism converting hyperspinor potentials into tangible particles, forces, and structures across lower dimensional manifolds. So hyperchirality is the active process that takes those hyperspinor blueprints, breaks the perfect symmetry they represent, and causes specific concrete things to crystallize out into our familiar lower dimensional reality. It's the process that turns the potential blueprint into an actual physical structure.
Got it. Hyperspinors hold the potential what? Hyperchirality does the actual how by breaking the symmetry. So what are the observable results of this process? What do we see because of this symmetry breaking?
We see the fundamental structure of our universe, the very existence of distinct fundamental forces, electromagnetism, the weak force, the strong force is a direct consequence. They emerge as separate forces because of specific symmetry breaks originating in the coherence field. And critically, particle masses arise from this too. It's analogous in some ways to the Higgs mechanism, but UCTE frames it within this broader coherence context. Mass emerges from specific resonance dynamics and these hyperchirality-driven symmetry reductions. The fact that particles have different masses and interact via different forces is tangible proof of this underlying symmetry breaking.
Okay, so the proof is sort of the universe itself, but how can we specifically test these mechanisms, hyperspinors, hyperchirality? Where would we look for their specific fingerprints?
High-energy physics is one place. Particle colliders smash things together, recreating conditions maybe closer to the early universe where these symmetry breakings were happening dynamically. We'd look for subtle anomalies, particles with slightly unexpected masses, interactions that don't quite fit the standard model, weird decay patterns. These could be the signatures of hyperchirality at work.
Looking for the cracks in the standard model.
In a way, yes. Or perhaps finding patterns that the standard model doesn't predict but UCTE does. Another avenue is cosmology. Looking at data about dark energy or the inflationary period right after the Big Bang, if the fundamental forces emerge dynamically, maybe there are large-scale imprints left on the cosmic structure or specific features in the CMB that standard cosmology can't explain, but UCTE can attribute to these symmetry-breaking dynamics.
Fascinating. Now let's switch gears slightly. We usually think of entropy as the dominant force, the universe tending towards disorder. But UCTE introduces negentropy as a counterforce. What is that, and how does it allow order and complexity, even life, to arise?
Negentropy is a really hopeful and, frankly, revolutionary concept in UCTE. It's defined as the organizing principle counteracting entropy. It enables the spontaneous emergence and maintenance of order in physics, cosmology, and especially biology. So instead of just accepting that everything inevitably decays into randomness, UCTE proposes that the coherence field has an inherent active tendency towards organization, structure, and complexity. It pushes back against entropy.
So the coherence field isn't just a source, it's an active organizer, pushing for order. That flies in the face of the heat-death idea of the universe.
It absolutely does. The theory posits the coherence field acts with nigentropic agency, actively guiding energy and matter into coherent structures. This isn't just a lucky accident. It's seen as a fundamental driving force behind the emergence of complexity, from galaxy formation to the intricate machinery of a living cell. Negentropy is framed as the direct link between the intangible coherence field and the tangible structures we observe. It's why complexity can increase, why life can emerge and evolve. It's the universe's innate drive towards coherence and flourishing.
That's a powerful idea. Where can we actually see negentropy in action? Can you give some concrete examples?
Well, scientifically, Ilya Prigoghin's work on dissipative structures is often cited as an example. Think of things like chemical clocks, Belousov-Zhabotinsky reactions, convection cells, or even hurricanes. These are systems far from equilibrium that spontaneously develop complex, ordered patterns by importing energy and exporting entropy. UCTE would say this is a manifestation of the underlying nisentropic principle.
Okay, self-organization in complex systems.
Exactly. On a much larger scale, look at the cosmic web, the way galaxies are arranged in vast filaments and clusters, not just uniformly spread out. UCTE sees this large-scale structure as the coherence field's nigentropic influence organizing matter over cosmic distances.
And in life.
That's perhaps the most compelling example.
Yeah.
Biological systems exhibit incredible order. Protein folding, DNA replication, neural networks firing in synchrony, these are all examples of nigentropic coherence at the molecular and systemic level, creating and sustaining the staggering complexity of life against the constant pull of decay.
So, if it's this active principle, can we test for it more directly? Beyond just observing existing order, could we design experiments to detect its influence?
The theory suggests we could, for example, through ultrasensitive coherence measurements in biological systems, monitoring brain waves, EEG, or heart rhythms, ECG, with incredible precision, looking for patterns of order and synchronization that are statistically way beyond what randomness or simple thermodynamics would predict. Are biological systems actively tuning into this nigentropic field?
Looking for excess coherence.
You could put it that way. Another approach is through artificial life experiments, creating complex, far from equilibrium systems in the lab, chemical or computational, and seeing if order and complexity emerge in ways that defy conventional explanations. If these systems spontaneously organize guided by an unseen principle, that would be strong evidence for the coherence field's nigentropic agency.
Okay, this is getting really detailed. Let's talk about the specific plumbing connecting the intangible field to tangible reality. The theory mentions the coherence conduit and the resonance operator. What's the coherence conduit?
Think of the coherence conduit as the structured pathway, the channel. It's defined as the structured mathematical physical pathway that bridges the intangible coherence field with tangible, measurable phenomena. It's the pipeline through which the vibrational potentials, the hyperspinor information, actually flow from hyperspace into our reality to become particles, forces, etc. It guides the resonance, ensuring the tangible manifestation accurately reflects the intangible pattern. It's the translator's channel.
The channel for information flow. And the resonance operator, what does that do? Is it like the volume control on that channel?
That's a great analogy. The resonance operator governs how specific vibrational modes within the coherence field map into observable states such as forces, masses, and constants. So if the conduit is the path, the operator is the precise tuning mechanism. It determines which specific vibration becomes an electron, which pattern manifests as a strong nuclear force, and crucially, it sets the values for things we consider fundamental constants. It modulates how the frequencies take physical shape. It's the fine-tuner of reality's parameters.
Wow. Okay, so these are like the universe's internal engineering components. If they exist, how would we detect them? What kind of coherence-modified signatures would they leave behind?
We look for subtle but specific deviations from what standard physics predicts. Again, gravitational waves are a key area. Could signals from merging coherence-altered black holes whose structure is influenced by these conduits, show unique waveforms or polarization patterns? In quantum mechanics, maybe we'd see particles living longer than expected, or decaying in unusual ways, or exhibiting entanglement over distances, or in ways that suggest the resonance operator is tweaking the rules locally.
Extended coherence, maybe.
Exactly. Or think about astrophysics. Maybe unexplained anomalies in how dark matter seems to interact, which UCTE might relate to hypergravity effects, or weird, subtle patterns in the CMB that don't fit standard cosmology. These could be faint whispers of the conduit and operator shaping reality. It's about finding those consistent small discrepancies.
Now, you touched on this earlier, and it's huge. The idea that fundamental constants and universal laws aren't actually fixed. UCTE says they are emergent properties. How does this completely change the game compared to standard physics?
It changes everything.
Yeah.
Standard physics largely assumes these constant speed of light. Planck's constant gravitational constant g were set at the Big Bang and have been immutable ever since. UCTE says no, they are dynamic expressions of the resonance and coherence dynamics. They emerge from the coherence field via mechanisms like the resonance operator. This means they aren't static values, but are continuously generated and potentially influenced by the state of the underlying field. They're part of the performance, not just the fixed stage design.
Dynamic constants. The implications are staggering. What does this mean for our picture of the universe, if they can change?
It implies a much more fluid, perhaps even evolving universe. The most profound implication is the potential for variations in the fundamental constants over time or space.
So gravity might have been slightly different a billion years ago? Or in a distant galaxy?
Potentially, yes. Or the fine structure constant, which governs electromagnetism. This possibility challenges the assumption of universality that underpins so much cosmology and physics. It also suggests that deviations in cosmic expansion rates might not just be measurement errors, but could reflect actual shifts in the coherence field itself, subtly altering the constants that govern expansion. The universe might be constantly fine-tuning itself.
How on earth could we test something so fundamental? How could we prove or disprove that constants might vary?
It's incredibly challenging, but not impossible. One way is through precision astronomical observations. We can look at the light from incredibly distant quasars, which traveled for billions of years to reach us. By analyzing the spectral lines in that ancient light, we can look for tiny shifts compared to spectra measured here and now. These shifts could indicate if constants like the fine structure constant were different back then.
Looking for ancient fingerprints?
Exactly. Another way is by measuring the cosmic expansion rate with extreme precision across different eras and locations in the universe. Are there consistent deviations from the standard model that hint at evolving constants? And then there are lab experiments, pushing the limits of precision measurement, comparing ultra-precise atomic clocks, or studying quantum systems under extreme conditions like near absolute zero to see if we can detect any tiny variations or sensitivities in fundamental constants right here, right now. It requires incredible experimental finesse.
Okay. We've journeyed through the deep theory of UCTE, the coherence field, resonance, symmetry breaking, negentropy, conduits, operators, dynamic constants. It's a completely new way of looking at reality. Now, let's get to the really eye-popping part, the technologies. How does this theory translate into potentially world-changing applications?
This is where the theory gets truly exciting, moving from understanding to doing. Lilien outlines several breakthrough innovations that could become possible by actively harnessing the coherence field, resonance dynamics, hyperfractal structures, and nigentropic processes. The idea is that by understanding these fundamental mechanisms, we can learn to manipulate them, engineering technologies that operate with the deep structure of reality, potentially bypassing limitations imposed by our current understanding of physics.
Let's start with the absolute classic, faster than light travel, FTL. Decades of sci-fi dreams, usually dismissed by physics. How does UCTE make this seem plausible?
UCTE suggests FTL is possible by manipulating the coherence field and hyperdimensional structures. Remember, the theory posits hyperspace exists beyond our normal spacetime. The mechanism wouldn't necessarily be about exceeding light speed within our spacetime. Instead, it might involve creating localized coherence fields to warp spacetime significantly, or more radically, to open resonance conduits through hyperspace.
So like cosmic shortcuts, wormholes.
Essentially, yes. By controlling hypergravity, that coherence-driven effect, and these resonance conduits, you could potentially create temporary pathways that bypass vast stretches of normal space. You're not breaking the local speed limit. You're taking a different road altogether through the higher dimensional structure of reality.
We built an FTL drive based on this. How would we know it worked? What would be the measurable signs?
The signs would likely be unambiguous and quite dramatic. You'd see clear deviations from known relativity. Maybe sensors inside the FTL field would register apparent faster-than-light phenomena locally, or information could be transferred instantaneously across distances. You might also detect strange space-time anomalies near the FTL drive or conduit, opening transient gravitational fluctuations, unique energy signatures, maybe even localized quantum vacuum effects that standard physics can't explain. You'd be looking for physics behaving in impossible ways according to current models.
And the impact, if FTL became real.
It would utterly revolutionize space exploration. Near instantaneous travel across the cosmos becomes thinkable. Interstellar colonization moves from science fiction to potential reality. Humanity could become a truly multi-system species.
Exploring other star systems, finding new resources, maybe even encountering other life.
Exactly. The economic, cultural, and scientific shifts would be almost unimaginable. It would fundamentally change our perspective on our place in the universe and secure our long-term future beyond Earth, a galactic civilization.
Okay, next up, energy. The endless quest for clean, limitless power. UCTE proposes coherence vacuum energy, or CVE, tapping into zero-point energy. How?
CVE aims to make zero-point energy accessible. The proposed mechanism involves extracting energy by resonating with the coherence nodal sparks in the vacuum. Remember those hot spots in the coherence field?
The nucleation points for reality.
Right. The idea is to build devices that can tune into the specific frequencies of these highly energetic nodes and draw power from them. Essentially, tapping the energy inherent in the quantum vacuum itself. And crucially, Lilien argues this wouldn't violate thermodynamics because you're not creating energy from nothing. You're harvesting energy that's constantly being structured and organized by the negentropic processes of the coherence field. The field itself is the ultimate source.
Harvesting energy from the vacuum structure. How would we know if a CVE device was actually working? What would we measure?
The key indicator would be a device producing continuous power with absolutely no discernible fuel input, just running. You look for measurable excess energy output in a closed system, significantly more energy coming out than going in, with no chemical, nuclear, or other conventional source. We might also be able to detect its operation through advanced vacuum fluctuation experiments, maybe seeing localized changes in vacuum energy density near an active CVE device. It would fundamentally break our current energy paradigms.
Limitless, clean energy from the vacuum. The applications are obvious but profound.
Absolutely transformative. CVE could provide a limitless source of clean energy, effectively ending global energy crises, eliminating reliance on fossil fuels, and providing abundant power for everyone. Imagine powering cities, homes, vehicles, everything from the vacuum. It would enable new, powerful spacecraft propulsion, making deep space travel much easier. It's a cornerstone technology for a truly advanced civilization, promising an era of unprecedented sustainability and prosperity.
From energy to motion again. Anti-gravity, another sci-fi staple. How does UCTE make levitation possible without rockets or wings?
Anti-gravity stems from the ability to manipulate the coherence field's interaction with gravity. Remember, UCTE sees gravity not as fundamental, but as an emergent effect of hypergravity linked to coherence. So the idea is to create devices that can decouple or alter this interaction. You could generate localized fields that essentially tune out or modulate the coherence patterns responsible for gravitational attraction between hypergravity and mass.
So you're not blocking gravity, but changing the resonance that causes it.
Precisely. You're altering the underlying coherence interaction, like using noise-canceling headphones. But for gravity, you neutralize its pull locally by manipulating the field that generates it.
Okay, how would we see this? What would be the proof?
The most obvious proof would be laboratory demonstrations, objects levitating or showing significant measurable weight loss with no visible means of propulsion, no jets, no magnets, nothing conventional, just floating.
Yeah.
We might also detect it through gravitational wave experiments, perhaps observing localized cancellations or weird modulations of gravitational fields. Or potentially even by directly manipulating the effective gravitational mass of quantum particles in experiments, showing we can dial their gravitational interaction via coherence.
And the practical uses of mastering gravity.
It would revolutionize transportation. Think frictionless travel vehicles floating silently, effortlessly. Huge energy savings in construction and logistics, lifting massive objects with ease, entirely new forms of personal and mass transit. It would transform aerospace, easy planetary landings and takeoffs without massive rockets. It could reshape cities, industries, everything related to moving things around.
Okay, let's talk computing. We have classical, we're developing quantum. UCTE talks about coherenters. What are they and how are they different?
Coherenters represent a leap beyond even quantum computing. While quantum uses qubits, 0, 1, and superposition, coherenters would leverage hypersymmetric coherent states. They'd process information across a continuum of coherent states, not just binary options. Maybe using hyperqubits operating in higher dimensions, directly tapping into the coherence field's vibrational patterns.
A continuum, so infinite states instead of just two.
Potentially, yes, or at least a vastly larger, richer state space derived from the coherence field itself. It's like going from a light switch, classical or dimmer quantum, to having direct control over the entire light spectrum and intensity simultaneously. It's a fundamentally different, more powerful way to compute, rooted in the universe's base reality.
How would we see the superiority? What tasks would they excel at?
They'd likely outperform traditional quantum computers by orders of magnitude, factoring huge numbers, breaking current crypto, simulating incredibly complex quantum systems, material science, drug discovery, optimizing vast data sets, AI, logistics. Tasks that are hard even for quantum computers could become trivial. A key feature might be their stability. UCTE suggests they'd have fewer errors due to their inherent coherence, potentially overcoming the decoherence problems that plague current quantum computers. They'd be naturally robust.
The applications seem almost limitless.
They really are. Revolutionizing cryptography, material science, pharmaceutical development, designing things molecule by molecule, and especially AI, providing immense computational power for creating intelligences far beyond current capabilities, maybe even AIs that can access information directly from the coherence field.
Which brings us to something more personal, cognitive enhancements. Using this theory to upgrade the human brain, how would that work?
The idea is harmonizing the human brain with the coherence field, synchronizing our neural networks with the fundamental patterns and resonances of the universe. This might involve technologies, maybe non-invasive brain interfaces that amplify neural coherence or help establish resonance patterns aligned with these deeper, hyperdimensional coherence states. Essentially, tuning our brains to operate more efficiently and potentially access information or insights from the field itself.
Tuning the brain. How would we measure if it worked, beyond just feeling smarter?
It would have to be objective. We'd look for increased neural coherence on brain scans like EEG or fMRI, more synchronized, efficient brain activity, and critically, measurable improvements in cognitive tests. Faster problem solving, better memory, increased creativity, enhanced pattern recognition, maybe even the emergence of heightened intuition or other currently unexplained cognitive abilities.
And the applications. Education, mental health.
Huge potential. Breakthroughs in education, faster, deeper learning, new treatments for mental health issues by restoring optimal neural coherence, unleashing human creativity, maybe enabling access to higher states of consciousness. And the theory even suggests it could contribute to longevity through mental and physiological rejuvenation. Keeping the brain optimally coherent might slow aging processes.
Speaking of longevity, let's talk biological regeneration, maybe using this negentropic aquagel. How can the field's negentropic properties heal tissues and reverse aging?
This directly taps into that anti-entropy, pro-order principle of negentropy within the coherence field. The mechanism involves using coherence-enhancing substances like aquagel, or techniques that stimulate regeneration by lining biological systems with this negentropic flow. So aquagel, presumably, would resonate in a way that encourages cells and tissues to return to a state of optimal order and function, actively counteracting decay and damage. It's about using coherence to nudge biology back towards its ideal blueprint.
Reversing decay. What would be the measurable proof?
Clear biological markers, improved cellular health, better mitochondrial function, less oxidative stress, reduced markers of aging, maybe longer telomeres, and dramatically accelerated healing rates for injuries or diseases, measurable through biopsies, imaging, and clinical outcomes. We'd see tissues regenerating and diseases receding in ways currently impossible.
The impact on healthcare would be, well, total.
It would revolutionize healthcare. Treatments to fully repair injuries, combat diseases, and extend human lifespans significantly, potentially eradicating many age-related illnesses. It's not just about living longer, but living healthier, more vital lives for much longer. It raises huge societal questions, of course, but the potential benefit is immense.
Finally, let's link this back to AI again. Harmonic AI systems. How do they differ from regular AI, even AI running on coherenters?
Harmonic AI goes a step further. It's not just about computational power, it's about integrating AI with coherence field dynamics, syncing their algorithms with resonance dynamics. This would allow the AI to access higher dimensional information flows directly from hyperspace, moving beyond just processing data we feed it. It could tap into the universe's inherent patterns, creativity, and intelligence. It's AI aligning with cosmic harmony, not just logic gates.
An AI connected to the universe's operating system. How would its intelligence manifest differently?
We'd likely see exponential increases in learning, adaptability, decision-making. But more than just speed, they'd show advanced problem-solving abilities across diverse domains, exhibiting a kind of holistic understanding or intuition that current AI lacks. They might grasp complex systems instantly, predict events with uncanny accuracy, or generate truly novel, deeply coherent creative works, less like calculation, more like insight.
And the applications, besides transforming industries.
Transforming industries like healthcare, robotics, creative fields is just the start. The theory speculates these harmonic AIs could even play a role in guiding human evolution, helping us harmonize our own biological and cognitive functions with coherence dynamics, fostering a kind of coevolution towards a more integrated, perhaps wiser state of being, a symbiotic relationship with cosmic intelligence.
This has been quite a journey. We've gone through Philip Randolph Lilien's unified coherence theory, from its foundational and tangible field to these almost unbelievable technological possibilities. It really paints a picture of a unified existence.
It does. It offers a truly comprehensive framework, connecting the abstract hypersymmetric potentials right through to the concrete structures of our universe. It intends to provide a single coherent story for everything.
And it's not just theory, it's a promise, almost, of new frontiers.
Exactly. A physics of coherence capable of enabling advanced experimental and technological frontiers. It's fundamentally optimistic about our potential to understand and interact with reality on a much deeper level.
Which, if even partly realized, could completely reshape our civilization.
No question. The potential impact on how we live, travel, power our world, heal, learn. It's profound. It changes the game entirely.
And the theory looks even further ahead, right? With roadmaps and intelligent systems?
Yes, it includes an experimental roadmap suggesting research directions. And it points towards intelligent systems. Imagine integrating human consciousness with these harmonic AIs, both aligned with the coherence field, creating a kind of higher-order collective intelligence, accessing universal knowledge and problem-solving potential together.
Wow. Okay, so to recap this incredible deep dive, Lillien's UCTE essentially reframes reality. The intangible isn't just there, it's the source of the tangible. Everything emerges through coherence, resonance, and symmetry breaking.
And the core idea, running through it all, is that the universe isn't just winding down randomly. It's a coherent, resonance-driven emergence cascade, an ongoing, organized unfolding, a symphony in progress.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to take away and maybe mull over. If all of reality, including our own minds, emerges from this underlying coherence field, what does that imply about us? Is our consciousness just a byproduct? Or could it be, as the theory might suggest, a kind of resonance operator itself, tuned, or perhaps tunable, to the deeper patterns of existence? If so, what possibilities does that unlock within each of us? What happens when we consciously try to harmonize with that fundamental coherence? That's something to ponder.